Hello, really random podcast today. I'm just on my way back from an event and I wanted to share with you some of the learnings from that event and hopefully to inspire some people who may be considering if the side hustle gig is for them. Maybe it's not going how you've wanted it to go, or maybe you've got some goals within the workplace that you haven't been able to achieve, or there's some things within your family environment. Anybody who's trying to do something or working towards something and maybe it hasn't gone how you've wanted it to go, I'm hoping that I'll be able to give you some words of wisdom and hopefully some motivation. I'm on my way back from an event where Dr. Louise Prowse was talking about side hustles and gave us a really comprehensive rundown in regards to the history of side hustles and how it's actually not a new term. She filled us in on things like it was often seen as pin money or money that wasn't really of value, if that makes sense. And that there was, she didn't use the word shame, but I suppose it sounded like a bit of shame or embarrassment that if a wife had to have a side hustle, that it meant that the husband wasn't providing for her or providing for the family, and that they didn't have solid foundations, and that it was just seen as something that was kind of on the side, but has had language and has been used for years and years and years and years. And I just thought it was really interesting because I think I often get asked, did I start the podcast and our YouTube channel so I can quit my job? And I think I've said time and time again, that's not the plan for us. From my perspective, my day job and the side hustles just fill up my cups in completely different ways. But I thought it was just so interesting that we talk about the concept of side hustles as a new concept. But actually, women sewing quilts, women making jam, women hunting rabbits and then selling their skin and selling their meat. This isn't new. Women have been doing this for years and years and years and years. And it did lead me, when I was listening to her comprehensive overview of her research, it did lead me to think, is this term becoming, is this language being used more and more and more now because women have a main hustle, where before looking after the house and the household and the children and helping on the farm, but their work wasn't seen as work. So the side hustle gig was seen as a side hustle, but it almost feels a little bit contradictory, because if her work within the house and on the farm wasn't seen as work, how can you have a side hustle if you don't have a main hustle? So I just thought that was really interesting. And I think that sometimes we think that we're the first person to do something, or we're the first person to go through something, or we're the first person to experience something. And that might be the case in regards to like the first person in our family to have done something. But for the most part, we're not the first person that started a side hustle. We're not the first person that started a podcast or a YouTube channel or a football coaching company or any of these things. There's people who have done this before us, and we're actually standing on the shoulders of those people who have carved the way for us. And it was just amazing to be in a room of mainly women talking about side hustles and female side hustles and where that's come from. Because I think for me, I left the event with a completely just a newfound love for the podcast and a newfound love for the YouTube channel, and that reminder backed up through research by Dr. Louise Prowse that we've been doing this for a long time. This is second nature a lot of the time for women. So when people say, how do you do it? How do you do it all? One, I don't. I do one thing at a time. But two, again, I'm not the first one. I'm not the only one. And I definitely won't be the last one. Women have been having side hustles. They should have went as far back as like the 1800s or something. Like we've been doing it for years and years and years. So that's how we do it. One thing at a time, one day at a time. But our ability to be able to juggle that and the household and raise the children, and in today's day and age, going out and having a 9-to-5 as well, is almost, I left the event feeling, is it just in our DNA? Are we just built different? I just wonder, are we just built different? Is our biology, are our brains just built different in a way that we just operate like this as standard practice. But it was so motivating to hear all the women that have had side hustles in the past, and the women that have side hustles now, and how it's grown. And some people have chosen to leave their day jobs, and some people haven't, and some things haven't worked out, but they've learned new skills that they can take on to new passions and new areas of their life. So I just wanted to share with you that sometimes you could be pursuing something, and sometimes you want it to go a specific way at a specific time, but sometimes it's going the way that it needs to go for that reason. With my podcast, I think that we do great on some platforms and not as well on other platforms. But that doesn't mean that that's a failure. It just means that maybe that's not the right platform, and that's not the platform that my audience uses, and that's okay. But it's about how we use that data to inform our business decisions and continue to grow and to love what you do. And the moment that the side hustle feels like a chore is the moment I would stop it. It really does fill my cup, and I'm learning so much and so many transferable skills that I can bring into my 9-to-5 job and into other areas of my life as well. And not to mention the amazing people that I've met through doing the podcast, and the friends that I've made, people that I've met online and I now consider friends, and I talk to regularly. Like, that wouldn't have happened without the side hustles, and it wouldn't have happened without putting myself out there. At the event I was at today, it's the second time, probably in 5 years since we've had our YouTube channel, that I have actually vlogged on my own. It just feels awkward, and I'm an awkward person anyway, so it's just not the best. But it was amazing, and actually somebody who is subscribed to our channel came up and was looking. Sorry, I'm recording in my car, and somebody literally just stopped in the middle of the road and is looking at me, so I'm just wondering what's going on. I'm parked, by the way, so I'm mind my business. But yeah, they just came up to me and was like, oh my God, you've got a YouTube channel, and oh my God, I comment on your stuff on Instagram. And when they told me their name, I was like, oh my God, it's you. Like, I was able to put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, oh my God, we've had so many conversations and so much back and forth. And just amazing to connect with people. And they were telling somebody who they were with that they love our channel and why they love our channel. And I just thought, like, how amazing is that? Like, that just felt so good. And Canberra's such a small place, so to find somebody, that's probably the third person that has come up to us and is like, oh my God, I watch your videos, which just feels so good and feels so nice. And even our lawyer was saying, was giving us compliments about the YouTube channel, and when she saw it, what she thought of the channel. And again, I think that reignited something in me, looking at a young, successful woman who is a lawyer giving us kind of feedback and that commentary on what she thought about our side hustles. I was like, wow, like, such different perspectives on things. And there was some real good feedback that she gave that Ahmed and I had always hoped that we would come across as authentic, and that we'd always hoped for specific things for our YouTube channel. And when Ahmed asked her the question around, when you looked at the YouTube channel, what did you think? The first 3 things that she said were things that we had always hoped and prayed that the channel would be and what it wouldn't be. And she just solidified that this is what she thought and felt when she saw it. And even that, I just thought, wow, like, how amazing is that? Like, it's so cool. So I think, from my perspective, we've definitely kind of paused a little bit on the YouTube channel, and we've just kind of been trying to figure out like where to go with it next. And we had a few creative differences, if you want to put it like that. But I think this is really, for me, reignited that we were on the right path, and let's continue on the path that we were on, because that was authentic to us. And it aligned with our business model for the YouTube channel. So, I think I'll probably call this episode Side Hustles, purely because I think listening to Dr. Louise Prowse's research just, for me, reaffirmed some really key messages and things that I wanted to the reasons I started the podcast and that we started the YouTube channel. So definitely feeling like my battery is full at the moment. I'm going to go home and edit a couple of podcast episodes, and this one is just going to come out on Spotify because I'm recording it in the car. But yeah, if you have thought about starting a side hustle, or you're thinking about starting a side hustle, my advice would be, why not? Just go for it and give it a try and see how it goes. At the end of the day, if you don't like it or it doesn't work, you don't like it or it doesn't work. You literally haven't lost anything. But don't regret it. Don't wait and then in 5 years' time be like, oh, I wish. We did that with the YouTube channel. We wish we had started it in the UK. And we didn't for a number of reasons. But now we look back and we're like, that was a real missed opportunity for us. So if you feel it and you want to do it and there's that fire, don't let the perception or your perceived opinion on what people will think of you hold you back. You've got one life at the end of the day. Life is really short, and you've got to live it for you. You can't live it for what you think people might think about you or what you think people might feel about you. At the end of the day, you've got to live your life for you and do the things that make you happy, and you don't want to regret it when you're 60, 70, 80. Be like, I wish I just did that thing. Just do the thing and learn along the way. When I started this podcast and our YouTube, I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know anything. I just said, I'm gonna do this, and you learn along the way and you make mistakes and you put things out that now you look back and you're like, oh, cringe, that's really low quality. But at the end of the day, that was your best work at that time. Some of the early things that I've put out, I look back now and I'm like, oh, why did I put that out? But you know what, at that time that was my best work, and that's okay. And now I don't look back and cringe. I look back and say, I've learned and I've grown and I've developed. And I think it also continues to show that how authentic I am with everything that I do. It'll be so easy to go back and take down some of the early YouTube videos, or to go back and take down some of the podcasts, or to go onto YouTube and take down the podcast episodes that got 10 views because they didn't do well. And I say do well, with air quotes, because they didn't have high numbers, or to turn the viewer count off and things like that. But at the end of the day, that's not why I do it. It's not for the numbers. It's not for that affirmation. It's not for the perception of what other people think. It's because those 10 people who have listened to it have also sent me messages on Instagram saying how helpful they found it, or how challenging of a day they were having, and my grandma jokes just brightened up their day, or seeing me do something or work through something has kind of helped them with their journey, and they were struggling with something at work and they listened to an episode and it helped them reframe things. Like, so much positive feedback. And I just think, yeah, it could be 10 people that have watched the video, but do you know what? That's 10 people that have chosen to spend their time looking at something that you've created and hopefully coming out the other side a little bit better off than when they first clicked on that video. And that's why we're all here, right? It takes a village and we're all just trying to do our best. So if you are thinking about a side hustle or a business change or a job change or a different pursuit or anything, and you're kind of hesitating, why not just give it a try? And you've got nothing to lose at the end of the day. So thanks again, guys, for tuning in. This is a really random and impromptu episode, but it's one from my heart. No scripts, no nothing, no post-it notes, no bullet points, nothing to remember. Just a genuine podcast from my heart to yours, in the hope that I can help you just take that next step and just believe in yourself. Because I may not know you personally, but I believe in you. You've got everything you need within yourself to be able to succeed. And if you look at other people and they're doing it, just think, if they can do it, so can I. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.